Hello everyone, fans of the Saint Seiya. Welcome to my channel, your dedicated space for the world of action, figures, and collectibles. Today, we're here to explore together the Saint Seiya vintage toys, focusing on the mythical armors of the Bronze Saints. But before we dive in, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest content. With that said, let's get started. Within the figures of the Saint Cloth series, marketed in the years 1987 to 1988, there are four distinct lines of bronze saints: the V1 Armor series, the V2 Armor series, the Memorials editions, and the heavy metal versions. The Bronze Saints Armor V1 and V2 series are representative of characters from the animated series. During the Sanctuary Saga, they wear the V1 armors. Alongside these armors, a version known as Window Box was simultaneously marketed, featuring a different box design. The V2 armors, on the other hand, represent the versions worn during the sagas of Asgard, Poseidon, and nearly the entire Sanctuary chapter of the Hades saga. The Bronze Memorial series was released to celebrate the 5 million units sold of characters from the Saint Cloth series. In these versions, the V1 armors have an entirely golden finish not seen in the anime. A special mention goes to the giant versions known as heavy metal. Released in 1987, these are 19 centimeters tall figures based on the Bronze Saints, offering many more articulated points than the standard vintage figures. Only the Pegasus, Swan, and Dragon figures were sold, representing a true innovation and rarity for that time. The protagonist of the manga and anime is a 13-year-old Japanese boy, an orphan who, deceived by Mitsumasa Kido, embarks on a journey to obtain the Pegasus cloth, with the promise from Kido to reunite him with his sister Seiya. With an indomitable and irreverent character, Seiya never gives up, and throughout the story, he makes epic comebacks when any other warrior would have surrendered. Moero! Pegasasu Ryusei Ken was the second episode of the Saint Seiya anime, released on October 18, 1986, where we first witnessed our protagonist wearing the Pegasus cloth. Bandai took advantage of the media hype almost immediately, and in January 1987, they began marketing the action figures of the Saint Cloth series, popularly known as vintage figures. The second version of Pegasus Seiya Faith 1, called Firstborn, remember that the first was the Window Box, marketed in January 1987, was released in March 1987. The most significant difference with the previous version is the design of the box, abandoning the blister-type system, which, however, was reproduced in subsequent European versions. Shiryu, the noble knight who managed to reverse the fall of the Roseanne waterfall and thus obtain the dragon cloth. The wisest of Athena's protectors, who did not hesitate to sacrifice himself to unimaginable limits to help his companions, undoubtedly the one who has been on the brink of death the most times, even fighting without the sense of sight on multiple occasions. The marketing of Shiryu went hand in hand with that of the other protagonists, who had already seen the light in January 1987 in their memorable and coveted first version known as the Window Box. The most significant difference between this and the Firstborn version is the design of the case and a very slight color variation on the helmet. Hyoga, the noble knight of the snow. With a personality as cold as the glacier where he trained and obtained the swan cloth, Hyoga seems to be the only one among the orphans who remembers one of his parents, although misfortune shrouds that memory when he visits his mother, frozen in the cold seas of Siberia. The swan cloth features an intense silver color for the metallic parts in contrast to the chrome silver of the plastic parts. However, over the years, the color of the metallic parts fades, causing the figure to lose its uniformity. The swan object is black, except for the base, which is coated in silver. The base in question is nothing other than a larger swan shield. The only piece that stands out a bit is the head of the swan, part of the object itself, with a yellow beak and red eyes. A small piece of chrome-plated plastic that supports the back of the shell also serves as a stand for the object. Shun, the saint who didn't want to fight, gained followers over time, especially because statistically, he's the one who has been involved in more battles after Seiya. He possesses great power, as seen in his confrontations with PC's Aphrodite or Scylla IO, but his gentle nature tends to hinder him from using it until he is forced to do so. The predominant color for this bronze saint is a matte pink, highlighting especially the armor, made in a single piece, covering the entire chest of the Athenian saint, as well as the shoulder pad attachment system, which was later replicated, with adaptation, in his mythcloth counterpart. Also noteworthy is the exaggerated bust on the breastplate, designed to simulate the chest of the goddess Andromeda. However, it is known that in object mode, this bust is represented by the knee guards of the armor. In this figure, given the complexity that would have resulted from having separate knee guards, it was decided to further feminize Shun's figure in order to achieve a more faithful object mode. Ikki is the Phoenix Knight, one of the most powerful armors in the series. After seemingly being killed, he spectacularly returns multiple times to aid his teammates in the most critical situations. His phoenix cloth is associated with rebirth and regenerative abilities. Ikki has become one of the most iconic characters in Saint Seiya, appreciated for his complexity, strength, and evolution throughout the storyline. His phoenix cloth is among the most recognizable in the series. Currently, it can be found on online selling platforms at an average price of around €250. It's worth noting, as a curiosity, that there are two types of phoenix armors, one in pink and the other in bronze. They can be found interchangeably. It can be said that the bronze color was the first to be released, window box, and they continued to use it in the firstborn format until its restocking in July 1987. From that date onwards, the pink color began to be used for the firstborn version. For now, that's all. In the next video, we'll go through all the alternative versions of the Bronze Saints. See you soon.